Hi, hello, welcome to another Wednesday night live. Hope everyone is well. We've got the amazing Lindsay with us this evening, so I'm super looking forward to chatting to her. Let's put that down a bit. I am just chilling tonight, so that's probably why I look a little bit dishevelled, but it's just been mental. I'm sure everyone is feeling it. The run up to Christmas is crazy. I know that there's been a lot in the news this week which is kind of shaking everyone, so hopefully this can offer some light relief to the craziness that's going on around us and offer some motivation in the lead up to Christmas as well. So yeah, we'll get Lindsay on and then we can get started. Any questions that you have for me or Lindsay, leave them in the questions section, or there is a little speech bubble with a question mark down below. Click that, put your question in there. I can then share it with everybody and we can answer as we go. So let's see if I can get her on. Oh, let me see if it let me add her in. Let's hope it works now, guys. Slightly apprehensive when it comes to calling people in. Hi.
Hello.
How are you, my darling?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just getting a tea bag out of a
You
out of a cup,
teabagging
sorry.
on Instagram. That's so wrong.
I know, it's not acceptable.
It's
Honestly.
not.
Oh, let me try and move you up a little bit. Here we go. We're cooking on gas here. How are you though, lovely? Are you okay?
I am glad we have sat down. Yes, today has been a day. But
isn't it like mad with small children? I know we voice note all the time about the kids, but oh my gosh, they're similar ages, mine and Lindsay's, my little girl, Lindsay's little boy. So lots of like back and forth over the delights that is toddlers.
I haven't had the toddler today though. He's been with Dad. Dad's taken him, but I've had cake orders, so I've literally like got up,
Oh
away
God,
today, and then I've just been in the kitchen, like yeah. So I've literally just finished, run upstairs, got changed because I was covered in icing sugar and stuff like that, which I didn't think people wanted to see. So.
It is mad. I think it'd be funny to talk about that actually, because obviously you work with cake all day, but you're on the one-to-one diet.
Yeah.
So just start, Linz, by telling us a little bit about who Lindsay is, how you and how you kind of found the one-to-one diet, because I know this wasn't your first time doing it.
No, this is not my first rodeo. No. So I would have started 2016. So I saw the likes of the wonderful Sam and Grace just as they were kind of reaching their goals. Grace winning Woman of the Year and everything like that. And I started just then, just as they were reaching that in 2016. I lost a hell of a lot of weight, about 10 stone, 11 stone.
Just 10 stone, just, you know, just a person.
Yeah. But I had to stop the diet very suddenly. I suspected I was pregnant, and part of the reason, the main reason I was losing weight was to try and get pregnant. So as soon as I thought I was, it's like, I must stop immediately just in case. Turns out I wasn't. However, at that point I had been off step one for so long that I was just like, I reckon I can do this on my own. I don't need plan. I'm fine. And I was doing couch to 5K as well, and that was helping me do some sort of maintenance. But then I got an injury and I couldn't run anymore, and I continued to not get pregnant. And the combination of the two things, I hadn't learned how to maintain. I hadn't learned anything in terms of not turning to
like coping mechanisms.
No. So I gained all the weight and more. And then so it was
which is really common to say. Like, I think a lot of people, sometimes you see this Instagram filtered version of the plan, and I feel guilty of this sometimes. Like I sometimes feel bad that I stuck to plan and got to goal in the way I did, because that isn't a representation of my history with dieting, but it makes it be perceived as if that it's just, you know, a click of the fingers, 7 months and you're at goal. And it's like, No. That was the best part of 20 years of yo-yo dieting
Yeah.
until that point.
Yeah.
Like, we've all been there where we have lost weight and then put it on. You know, I lost 4 stone before I fell pregnant with Poppy. I was the same as you. I did plan. Um, I fell pregnant, came off. I always say, I don't know if I was more excited for the positive pregnancy test or Chinese menu in my hand. Not sure what got me more excited that day. And then I put 6 stone on because, like you, I come off the plan, hasn't learned anything, and went straight back to those coping mechanisms when I was dealing with the, you know, the difficulties that come with being pregnant. It is a wonderful experience,
Yeah.
but it's also bloody
Challenging.
hard.
Yeah, challenging, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So whenever you came off the plan,
mhm.
obviously you and your partner was still trying to conceive.
Yeah.
Had you had like diagnosed fertility problems? Was it kind of unknown as to the reason why you were struggling?
Yeah, so basically, we had a miscarriage in 2013, and before that, we hadn't been trying. It was just a fluke, kind of, you're pregnant, and just kind of as we got our heads around it, it was gone. And it was in that moment of losing it, you don't know what you want until it's gone, right? So
Yeah.
very much that. So I had always been like, I'm not really fussed if I have kids, everything like that. And then in that moment when we lost it, and it was like, no, you can't have that, I'm taking it away, I very much wanted it. And so from then on was our journey of trying to get pregnant. And it just didn't happen. So we finally went to the doctors in 2018 and we were like, look, this is not happening. Like, I know I need to lose some weight, but it's not happening. And I've lost weight. It still didn't happen. I've tried everything. So the doctors did lots of tests on us. They did all different bits to get all the information together to then send it off for a referral. But at the end of that year, I just said to Terry, who's my partner, I can't do this anymore. I can't keep putting my life on hold in the hope that we get pregnant. Because we were like, we won't book that holiday just in case. We won't book those tickets for that gig just in case. We won't agree to go away with whoever just in case. And I said, we've gone through 6 years of putting our life on hold for something that actually may never happen, and we've got to accept that. So we were
literally don't realise, do you, the amount that you do that, and you're like, oh yeah, but what if this happens? What, you know, if we're pregnant, I can't do that. I remember me and Jamie booking a holiday, and I was like, oh, but if I'm like beyond this amount pregnant or below this amount pregnant, we're not going to be able to do it. And you do. It's all consuming, that like trying to conceive portion of your life, isn't it? It's mental.
It took over everything. And so I just said to him, my New Year's resolution is that I think that we should not try, but just not consciously give it so much energy. So I want us to do things that we enjoy. Like, if I want to sign up for something, I'm going to sign up and I'm going to do it. And if something happens, then fine, we'll deal with it. But I don't want to like keep putting my life on hold. And he said, that's fine, but I'm just going to check with the doctors that the referral's been sent off, because that can still be happening in the background. And they turned around to him and said, I'm really sorry, but your wife's BMI is now over a point where she can't be referred for any sort of, even diagnostics. Like, she can't be referred. The criteria's changed and she no longer qualifies. And that's the day we conceived Harry. So I think we both just went.
How the world works.
But I think we both just went, do you know what? It's not going to happen. Just whatever. And we both just let go of all that stress because we'd been told it's not going to happen. And then here we are.
They say that though, don't they? That it's literally when you let yourself, but try telling a woman who's trying to conceive that they need to relax. It's like, okay. And then you think, then you go about relaxing in the most unrelaxed way. You're like, I'm going to have a bath and I'm going to get candles and I'm going to get oils and I'm going to be relaxed now.
Don't talk to me.
Like I'm in my relaxing state. I've got 15 minutes left and then I've checked the calendar. You need to get ready. Like, it's just the most bizarre world. But it like you say, when you do relax and kind of, you know, it's mad what happens then. So when you fell pregnant then, where was your weight compared to where it had been pre-pregnancy? Were you kind of up near your highest weight? Were you more towards like where you'd been when you finished the plan? Whereabouts were you?
I was up high. I actually just started Weight Watchers, and I'd lost 10 pounds, a bit like you, and then I got pregnant. I was like, oh well. I was actually doing it with my dad, and obviously you keep it a secret, don't you? So I had to keep, like, my dad would be checking in with me each week, going, "How was weighing?" And I'd be like, "Oh, yeah, it was good." All the while, actually not on Weight Watchers because I was pregnant. But I was.
Do you know, I always had this really big fear when I was doing planning, because I was documenting it on Instagram. Like, obviously, me and Jamie don't want more kids. This would never have been an intentional thing. But the fear I had every month of being like, if I did fall pregnant unexpectedly, how would I hide it from all these people online? And I would literally think up things in my head, like, how could I still blog? Would I just lie? And I'm the worst liar in the world. So I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Luckily, he's had the snip now. We're good. It's fine.
Oh, well,
but
no, so my weight when I fell pregnant with Harry, I was 27 stone.
So what was your thought with that? Because when I fell pregnant with Poppy, I'd lost 4 stone, so I was about 14 stone when I fell pregnant with her. And my pregnancy is kind of a pregnancy of 2 halves. The first half of my pregnancy, my weight was, I was overweight, but it was like all right. And then the second half is when I was up at like 21 stone, and my weight, I just ballooned. So I feel like that I approached the 2 parts of my pregnancy really differently, because the first part was quite manageable. I was like a normal pregnant woman, and the last half of my pregnancy, I didn't feel like a normal pregnant person anymore. Like, did you feel any kind of anxiety going into your pregnancy, being a heavier weight?
I mean, I'm a bag of anxiety at the best of times, so
same. You don't need to add anything to make me more anxious.
It was always going to be an anxious time. So the first one,
especially because you'd experienced loss before as well, like that always makes it more of a challenge, doesn't it?
And it takes that. Don't get me wrong, we were still excited, but it almost takes away the ability to just go into it and be so excited, because in the back of your mind it was like, I know what could happen, and I don't experience that again. But I was worried as well, because if you are overweight, you have a higher risk of miscarriage. So that was always in my head. So I was terrified from day dot, basically. But also I was made to feel like something was going to go wrong, just constantly. I had really high blood pressure, which they picked up luckily at 6 weeks, so they medicated it. I was on medication for that for the whole of my pregnancy. But the whole way through it was like, you're really overweight, so your baby's going to be really big, so we're not going to let you go past your due date. It's probably going to have to come early. You're going to be at risk of, what is it, shoulder dysplasia or whatever they... But just constant, you can't have a cesarean, you can't have this, you can't, all the things that I couldn't do rather than what I would be able to do, which I think is a way to approach it. I can do, and I'll do that, but don't go into it telling me that I'm not going to be able to do this and I'm not going to be able to do that, because that just sets me up with a negative headspace, you know. So it was scary. And it's not, I think the doctors and midwives and stuff, I got the impression that they looked at me as like I'd willingly gone into pregnancy at that weight, and it's like, you haven't seen everything that comes before.
You haven't seen the precursor to this, and all of the kind of crap that I've had to go through to even get to it. This was completely unexpected, and you know, this is not what we expected to happen now. But, you know, I completely get that, because that is why I lost weight before, because I knew that there would be that stigma. Like, and I was really fortunate that my midwifery team and my consultancy team were brilliant. Like, I remember going in to see my consultant, because obviously if your BMI is over 30, your consultant led anyway. I did the gestational diabetes test, never got that. Then I went to see this consultant, and she was like, I just don't know why you're here. And I was like, oh, it's just because of my BMI. And she was really lovely, and she was like, that's not a negative thing. Like, it's just something we want to keep an eye on, and we can discharge you from here, blah, blah, blah. They were really lovely about it. But I think on reflection, when I look back at it now, I do see so many things that were maybe made harder because of my weight, where they were maybe being nice and comforting me, because it was like, well, you're in this situation now, there's not a lot we can do. We ain't going to put you on a diet. So we just got to try and help you get through this the best we can.
Whereas I kind of had opposite. Like I was under no illusion of everything that was much more harder because of my own doing, but I was also made to feel that acute.
Yeah, that's hard.
Which wasn't great, but is what it is. He's here now.
Well, this is it. And then he came. And when you were pregnant, did you put weight on when you were pregnant? Was your weight quite stable during pregnancy?
The only weight I gained was him.
A
lot of water. I mean, a hell of a lot of water. But
in there loads, right? When my water, side note here, girls, but anyone that is pregnant or going to have a baby, when they say there's a lot of water in there, they ain't joking. I was gushing for days. I was in labour for 3 days, and for 3 days I was just and I've never experienced anything like it in my life. It's literally like someone's opened a tap.
Well, I kept reading, oh, you might not even know your waters are broke. Some women don't even know their waters are broken. They broke mine for me, and it was like something out of a Hollywood film. Like, it was just like whoosh across the floor.
They go everywhere.
It was
I had mine go, so I was in bed the one night. So Bojo had done his announcement saying we're all going into lockdown. It was like, fabulous, thanks, mate.
Yeah.
And then I went up to bed and I randomly had this thought of like, I think I maybe felt a little twitch, like nothing, like literally just like could have been a fart, didn't know what it was. And I was like, oh, that makes me think that I haven't downloaded a contractions app. And I was only 36 weeks, so I was like a month pretty much off. And I was like, oh yeah, but I'll just download it, because I was like listening to the odd hypnobirthing podcast. I wasn't really into it, but I was like, I'll try my best. And the minute that the app installed and I pressed open, my waters went.
Okay.
And I was like, thank you, Bojo, and thank you, Contraction app. That was fantastic. And then all I thought was, we've just bought a brand new Temper mattress. If my waters have ruined this mattress that was like £1,000, I'm gonna cry. But it was fine.
I have one, so I can empathise. I would have been more.
Oh
God.
I was on, and I went on the toilet, and I was like, babe, and you know what it's like it's scary. Like, I was shaking. I was like I realised I'm gonna have to get this child out of me. Like, what's going on? Rang my dad. He was half asleep, and he was like, yeah, love, I'll speak to you in the morning, the night. And I was like, Dad. Jamie was like going around aimlessly getting stuff. Oh. And then we ended up back and forth from the hospital for 3 days, so that was so much fun. Yeah. But no, it's crazy, but it is. I think I look back now at my like labour, my delivery, and all of that, and I had quite a traumatic birth and delivery, and I won't go into it on it here because I don't think it's appropriate in case people are pregnant or have got any kind of birth trauma. But it was quite traumatic, and I think having to accept later down the line that part of that was due to my weight, I found really difficult. Like, I found really difficult to accept that. Did you have anything in your kind of labour or birth that was made more problematic because of your weight?
My labour was horrific. It was.
Oh, isn't it horrible? Sorry, pregnant ladies.
Trigger warning just now. I went into hospital on the Friday and I didn't come out until the following Saturday. And it was horrendous. And I had previously said to my consultant, I'm really worried that I'm under no illusions of my fitness. I'm worried that if you induce me, I know that can take days. I'm going to be exhausted. The baby is going to be exhausted. The baby is then going to potentially get into distress. It's going to make it all a lot more difficult and a lot more traumatic. And then it's going to result in an assisted delivery, be it forceps and whatever. And I really don't want that. I don't want any of that. So I would rather elect for a cesarean. Now, they weren't keen for me to have a cesarean at all, and so they basically talked me out of it. But then as a result, basically everything that I had foreseen happened. Emergency buzzers being pulled and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it was incredibly traumatic, but I do look back now and think, well, so on the one hand I think, well, if I'd been lighter I could have just opted for a cesarean and they wouldn't have given me they wouldn't have said boo to a goose, they would have just said, yeah, crack on.
Yeah.
But then I also wonder, like, would I have been able to labour in a different position which would have made it easier? You know, would Harry have been able it's all those different things, but I will never.
It's those ifs and buts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you never know. Like, mine was very similar. It was just, you just don't appreciate, I think, that, like you say, that fitness level when you're in labour. Like, it is a grueling. Like, we all know that, but until you're there, like, I was in labour for 3 days, like contracting for 3 days, and like it is really, really hard. And And I think Jamie said, he was like, it's the only time I've seen him cry, and it was when I was pushing, and he said, I could see you were giving it everything that you possibly had, and then I would look at you and see you giving everything I could ever want in my wife to give to birth our child. And he looked over at the midwife, and she was just there like,
Not coming.
it's not happening. And he was like, it just broke my heart. And I always think like it was that because, you know,
Yeah.
did my way, well, I think it did, but, and I think that played a part then afterwards in some of the kind of postnatal issues that I dealt with. Did you have any like postnatal depression or anything like that after you'd had Harry?
So I didn't. However, I got put on antidepressants straight away because I don't mind talking about it, I have a long history of depression, self-harm, things like that. And I was acutely aware, and Terry was also very concerned, that if someone was going to get postnatal, it could potentially, because I have a history of it, and it's, you know, it's better to be aware of it and prepared for it. So after
that's a really smart decision, I think, is to be like that. Like if you know you're predisposed to that, then you're just protecting yourself, aren't you? And like, you know, making sure that you're, you know, you can give yourself the best chance possible at kind of going forward.
And also I knew that I was going to have a baby to look after, and like Terry was going to go back to work, and if I wasn't in a good place mentally, that was just going to make things 10 times harder. But after everything that happened with the birth, and I ended up having 2 blood transfusions, and it was horrific. I ended up back in A&E a couple of days, or the day after, or a couple of days after we'd been discharged, and the doctor there said to me, you've got PTSD. So she said, I'll give you something now to help you to go to sleep and stuff like that, but I would advise you see your doctor the next morning or whenever it was. And I went to see the doctor, and I just explained it, and he was like, I'm not surprised that you're bloody traumatized.
Yeah, this is it. Like, it is hard.
Oh, that sounds shit. And I thought, thank you for acknowledging that, because it was. But he just said, I'm going to start you on antidepressants straight away. He said, there's no point us waiting 6 weeks or whatever to see if you're going to get postnatal. Let's just start.
That's just waiting for a bomb to go off, isn't it? And I think that was the only time I felt let down by my care team, was after the birth. So my mum had postnatal psychosis after me, which is like postnatal depression on like steroids. That's a very, very inept way of saying what it is, but to give it an idea to those who don't know what it is like the very extreme version of postnatal depression. And she actually ended up having ECT therapy for it. Wow. Where they literally electro current through her head for it. So it was very severe, and my midwifery team knew of this straight away, and I was already high risk for postnatal depression and obviously postnatal psychosis, not genetically linked, but more predisposed for it. But then after I had Poppy, because we were in a lockdown, I didn't even hear from the mental health team. I was in the hospital for 3 days after I had her, and you know, the midwife checked on me and what have you. But then when I was discharged to go home, like I was physically able to go home, and that is, you know, debatable, how physically well I was to go home, but I went home. Then I didn't see anybody. And I honestly think that's like, I don't know who was looking over me, like I have an idea, that meant that I didn't get postnatal, you know, thank God that didn't happen. But it isn't a surprise to me that I got postnatal depression at all. And actually, on reflection, I think something like you did with antidepressants would have been a really good idea for me, just to help that, because I always thought I'd be so aware of what the signs and symptoms were of it. But actually, it was only like 9 months later that I looked back and I went, Rach, you're depressed. Like, that's what's wrong with you. Like, you've been wondering what's wrong for the last 9 months.
I know.
You're depressed.
Yeah. The doctor basically said to me, because Terry's paternity leave was really good, and he had about a month off after Harry was born. But the doctor just said to me, I don't want to leave it, and then you come back to me in 4 weeks or 6 weeks when he's gone back to work, and you're then at a point where it is so bad, you know, it's built, and then you're on your own at home with a young child. in like a crisis point. He said, I just don't want to let it get to that, so we'll start you now.
That's a good doctor.
Yeah, he was fantastic. He just kept it real, was really great. But I was lucky that I happened to get him on that day, and yeah, just
this is it. It's such a lottery.
Yeah.
We've got a person here saying antidepressants caused most of my weight gain after my third child, which I think is really common. I have a lot of slimmers that have been in similar situations, but what I would say is, whilst it is a side effect and it is really bad, please don't make yourself feel bad about that, because in the same way, if you were poorly and needed steroids, you know, they have no stigma attached to them to help with a viral chest infection, but they also can make you gain a bit of weight. And I think the side effects of weight gain, whilst difficult, we can, you can deal with that later down the line when you're feeling better. The main thing is that you get yourself feeling well first. So you had a little baby at home, husband's gone back to work, you're kind of managing in the mental health aspect after baby being born.
Yeah.
What was going on with your kind of eating habits at that point? Were you kind of same, pregnant, not pregnant? Did you find that after he was born, your eating habits changed at all?
Yeah, so both times I've fallen pregnant, the instant I have fallen pregnant, I have had no desire for any bad food. And it's if I could have that constantly throughout my life, that would be brilliant. But unfortunately, as soon as he popped out, that went away. But I think for me, the thing that caused the gain after he was born was, firstly, I clearly have an issue with food. I've been trying to lose weight since I was, I don't know, forever, it feels like. So I clearly have an issue with food. But for me, what happened was that I would be on my feet, or with Harry or whatever, busy all day, and I wouldn't have a chance to eat. So it'd be like, I'd be so busy preparing his food or doing whatever, and Terry would say to me, why don't you get something to eat? But no, I just want to focus on doing what I'm doing with him, and then when I'm done that, I'll worry about me. And then it would get to, I don't know, 7 in the evening when he'd finally gone down for the night, and I'd be like,
you're exhausted because you've been running around all day.
Yeah, and I'd be like, I've not eaten all day. My God, how have I got to this time of day and I've not eaten all day? And then I'd think, well, you've not eaten all day, so you can have a family-sized bar of Galaxy. You can have, popcorn. And that became my time in the evening. So
same.
I'd go off up to bed. I'd have my little snacks and my TV program, and that would be my time.
You could just zone out from, and I don't know about how, but Poppy was a hard baby. She had reflux, she had colic, she only would sleep on me or Jamie. She wouldn't sleep in a bath. At night she was a good sleeper, but in the day all of her naps were on me. And I, part of my postnatal, I got really there's this thing, I can't remember the word for it, but it's literally you're overtouched. You literally are you need to stop touching me. I need to not have something on me.
Yeah.
And I really struggled with that. It really heightened my anxiety. And, it's mental now, because now that I'm not in that headspace, I want to coach her all day. I'm like, come to mama, let me give you a coach. But in that point in time, it was a very, very different place. And so, yeah, when she would finally go to bed at night and, the colic crying, the 4 hours of colic screaming had stopped, it would literally be like, I don't want to talk to you, Jamie. You can just go and do your own thing. I just want me, my food, my safe little bubble of just peace before that night shift basically starts.
Yeah, 100%. I still get that. So Harry was, everyone's said, oh, he's such an angel, and he was, to be fair. We were really lucky, through from 4 months old or something stupid like that, and he's always been good at napping. I would say he goes through stages of sleeping on me, and then other times when we'd be able to put him down for a nap, but all in all, no, he's been really good. But even so, it's so emotionally just constant. Some days now, even Terry will come home if he's working in the front, come home, and I'll be like, just don't talk to me. Just don't. I cannot deal with. I've had Harry
Oh my God.
out in. He's been like sleeping on me all day. He won't go in his bed. The dog's been barking. It's just constant. And then Terry will come in and try and give me a hug, and I was like, I just can't have anyone else.
Yeah, just get away from me. Like, I just need a break.
So,
It's so hard, and I think that doesn't end. Like, and whenever, like, any mum will get this. Like, it's so, so hard. And I look at mums who've got multiple kids. I'm like, how the hell do you do it? Like, it's so hard with one. Like, Pop's had a first proper tantrum today. And it was literally at like 6:30. And I nearly voice noted you in tears. Just like, I literally don't know what to do. Like, what am I going to do if she doesn't, like, stop tantruming? And you do get it, like, still. Like, it doesn't end. It's just, I don't know, you learn that it does end. I think when you're in the newborn stages, sometimes it feels like it will never end.
yeah.
And then as you carry on going, you're like, oh no, it will end at some point, and I don't need to eat a tub of Ben and Jerry's in the process.
But do you know, the thing is, though, what I always say to Terry, because Terry always goes, this is the hardest bit for me. Since he's been born, this is the hardest bit. I'm like, Terry, you literally said, okay. He's like, no, but this is the hardest. Like, it's not. It's just because we had mastered that bit. And then as soon as we master it,
this is new.
Stage, and we're like, what just happened? But we knew what was going on, and now we don't. So it's just ever changing.
That's it.
And I don't deal well with change. So it's just...
I've got better with it. This year I've become very good at change. But I think that's because I've had a bit of change you can imagine. But I think that all I have in my head is, I'm like, she's a girl. Now is not the hardest age.
No.
Wait till she's 14, 15. Like, I just know I've got it in for me then. Like, I think back to 14, 15-year-old Rachel, and I'm like, oh my God, I hope you're like your dad. Please be more like your dad than your mum. Like, it is a worry. But so when was it after you had Highland that you started thinking, like, okay, I think I need to do something about my weight again?
Oh God.
Like, when was it, like, instantaneous? You were like, I'm getting back on the Weight Watchers, I'm getting back on the 1-to-1, or did that take a long time to kind of brew?
No, yeah. So for a little while after he was born, I actually maintained my weight. But I think that was purely due to bad habits of not really eating. Then I'd grab a little something, but then I'd go hours before, so it was just bad habits,
Yeah.
luck more than anything. I did dabble with Weight Watchers on and off, but could never get back to that zone. So much, as you know, about losing weight is being in the right headspace at the right time. And I would try it, and then I would do it for 2 days, and then I'd fob it off and get a takeaway or whatever. So I just wasn't in the right place for it. And then, so Harry was born in the October 19. Obviously, we got locked down March 2020, and I got COVID March 2020. And then I was fine when I had COVID, but I got long COVID, which some people are aware of, some people aren't. And that just knocked me sick. It just absolutely destroyed me. It was horrific. So that really did me in. And then when I got that, it was just a lost cause. I just gained 4 stone in 6 months, just bam, just kept gaining weight. And then it was in the December, because every time I spoke to the doctors about long COVID, because everything's so new, they're like, we don't know, we can't help you, we can't treat you because we don't know what it is. So
It's such a catch-22, isn't it? And I think so many people are in that situation, because more people than I think even we know now have got, like, symptoms that are actually linked to them having COVID.
Yeah, it was just I would literally, like, get up with Harry in the morning, spend maybe 2 hours with him, but I would literally just be sat on the sofa whilst he, like, sat and played or whatever, and then he'd nap, and so I'd sleep when he slept, and he'd sleep for like 2 hours and I'd sleep for 2 hours, and then I'd get up and then I'd be with him for another couple of hours, then he'd have another nap and I would again go sleep, and then 7 o'clock I'd be asleep again. And I just, it was just constant. My periods went absolutely mental. I had cycles of like 50 days, 60 days, 90 days. It was just all over. I couldn't walk from our lounge to our kitchen, which is, I don't know, 20 steps, without being out of breath. It was really, really bad. And so because I felt so bad, I then wanted to do even less, and it's just a vicious cycle. And I literally, my mum was we were talking to my mum on Monday about like my weight loss and everything, and she just said it was just heartbreaking because you literally just sat on a sofa, like just existing. There was just no, you weren't living a life. You were just, if your child do that, it's just devastating. But you know, you can't tell someone to lose weight until they're ready to lose weight. I don't think. Personally.
Yeah, and I think as a parent, like I can't even imagine seeing Poppy in the position I was in whenever I started Plan. And I remember whenever I was doing the Slimmer Awards stuff, and they were doing the videos, the VTs, and we got interviewed by like a press agency to put them together. And obviously, I've always been very open about like my backstory, about the fact that my mum passed away, and then Jamie got COVID, and what have you. But for some reason, didn't think they were going to ask me about my mum or anything like that whenever I have my interviews. So it caught me really off guard. But the question that they asked specifically really caught me off guard. And she said, what would your mum have thought if she could see you before you'd started the diet? And it just broke my heart, because I was like, I can't imagine, because then straight away when you've got a child, you think, how would I look at Poppy? I didn't even really think of how my mum would look at me. And it's just heartbreaking. And like, you can't imagine your mum having to watch and know that there's really nothing that she can do, because like you say, if you could wave a magic wand and make it, you know, make them relationship issues with food go and make it easy, of course you would, but that isn't how it works. So I can't imagine how much, one, that she struggled then, but how much pride she must have and happiness she must have now looking at you. So you long COVID, you got to December.
Yeah.
Had your symptoms started improving at that point, or were you still quite rough?
Well, basically, what happened is my menstrual cycle actually went back into a pattern for like 2 months, and I thought, oh, it's going. And then it went absolutely haywire there. And then that was the breaking point where I thought, I can't do this. If this is my life for forever, I can't. And I've waited all this time to have a family and have I just can't do it. This is not living. And I contacted the doctor, and I basically said, you need to do something. I don't care if it's just that you medicate the symptoms that I'm experiencing, but you need to do something. And while we're at it, I want to talk to you about weight loss surgery, because this has got beyond a joke now. I clearly can't manage it, so you need to do something to help me, because I'm going to end up basically not being able to move in a bed. That's where I'm heading. And I had my appointment to speak to the doctor in, I think, the January or the February about the weight loss stuff. And my doctor basically said to me, I can't put you on the referral scheme for weight loss because of the long COVID symptoms, because once you start down that pathway...
Oh, God.
Basically said, once I start you on that pathway, there are a number of things that you have to hit. Now, I don't know what that is, be it weight loss targets or whatever, I don't know. And she said, my concern would be if I referred you and then the fact that you've got long COVID at the minute hindered one of them, you then couldn't be referred again. So she said, if you're going to be referred, I want to know that you're going to be able to take it all the way. And I don't want that to fuck you up, essentially.
And I suppose they would have wanted to do things like respiratory checks and things like that to put you under anaesthetic with surgery, because I think a lot of us get to a point where we think surgery is our only option. Like, I know I looked into the gastric sleeve. I follow a lot of girls on here that have had amazing successes with the gastric sleeve and gastric bypass. And, you know, like we always say, all diets work, all methods of weight loss work. It's what you find that works for you that's important. Yeah. And I was in the same position. I was literally at a place where I was about to book to go to Turkey and get a gastric sleeve, because I was like, I do not know what else I can, like, well, I did know. I was like, I could do that 1-to-1 again. But I was like, other than that, I was just so desperate. It was in such a low place. And like you, I was like, if this is life, I can't carry on like this.
But so basically, yeah, the doctor said I can't refer you. And then I was thinking, and I thought to myself, I know that if you are going for weight loss surgery, they make you do an equivalent of the lower steps of 1-to-1, because you have to lose weight or lose fat around.
Yeah, the liver shrinking one, isn't it?
Well, if they're going to get me to do that anyway, why don't I try it again and see if I can do it that way? Because actually, if I can do it that way, I avoid having major surgery. So
yeah, and it is me, like, and I had I'm like Sam, I had my gallbladder out 6 years ago, and I got very ill after I had really bad complications. And so in my head, I was kind of balancing this where like, I think it's what I need to do, but I also know that I had like a gastro surgery already, and I had very serious like complications off the back of it. I mean, they did help me get down to a size 10 for my wedding day, but I was living off tramadol and morphine for 6 months. That's not the best. Um, People see my wedding photos and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you look so good." I'm like, "Yeah, but literally, like food hadn't gone in my body for 6 months. That is why."
It is fine. Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, I know, I was always toying with that. I was like, I know how bad these things can go, and it has so much risk and complications. And like you, I was like, in my head, I was like, what do you think is going to happen, Rach? They're going to give you a gastric sleeve and you can still eat a tub of Ben and Jerry's every night? Like, no. I think as soon as I accepted that I had to change the way in which I ate, I realised that I had more options available to me than I perhaps perceived that I had.
Yeah.
Because to me, I was looking for that magic pill to fix the situation. And actually what I had to face was that my issue was with food.
Yeah.
The relationship I had with food had to change, and the way I was consuming and abusing food had to change. But that is hard to be able to face that.
The magic pill's inside you, right? You've just got to find it and unlock it, and then
Deep. That's very deep.
I know, but you know.
We'll trademark that. You can tell Grace is your consultant. You got trademarks coming out left, right, and centre.
She just fills me with so much knowledge on a daily basis. So can't keep it all to myself.
It's true though. It is. It's like when people, like I mentioned a couple of times this week about the whole willpower thing. I'm like, willpower is such a farce. Like, willpower is not a thing. You just have the power to choose to do things. And if you choose good things again and again, naturally, like you do habit forming behaviors, then you will form habits and it becomes easier. And that's what we think willpower is. But yeah, it is. Like, and that's it. So you were like, right, now I'm going to have to go on this liver shrinking or whatever thingy plan it is. I'm going to give the 1-to-1 a go. You've done it before. Had you like kind of kept your toe in the water with the likes of like Jade and all of that lot, and what their kind of stories have been? John Boy and his like
no, his continuous improvement. No,
his continuous improvement strategies.
No, I basically shut my page down. I was in such a dark place, like with all the trying to conceive and everything attached to that. I just couldn't. I came off all of social media. I just shut everything down. However, I did keep Grace on my page, her personal page, not anything to do with weight loss, but I just had her on my personal page, so I check in from time to time and see what was going on with her. And then when I made the decision to start, I thought, I know who I have to contact, because just everything about Grace is just...
I mean, she's amazing. She's like an earthly angel, the girl. Like, you're not going to find anyone sweeter in this world, I don't think.
And just her whole approach to everything in life, no matter what adversity and everything, is just so full of light. I thought it made me laugh. And I messaged Grace actually afterwards, because you and Sam saying about sending essays to Jem. And I literally did the same to Grace. I just sent her a whole essay. Like, you probably don't remember me, but blah, 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 blah. And I need to start now.
Oh,
and just, yeah.
Why is it we literally write a novel? I've been trying to find mine because I want to post it. Like, just to show, like, I need, like, because it's like it coming up to a year since I've done it. And I'm not having it sounds weird saying I'm having an identity crisis. I'm not having an identity crisis, but I'm having I kind of want everyone to understand where this year started crisis, that this is not who has been here for the longest time. And so, yeah, and when I looked at it, I was like, oh my God, it was literally an essay. That poor woman must have picked her phone up and been like, what is this person doing messaging me?
But that's what they're there for, right? So that's part and parcel of the job. So
it is. And when I get it now, I'm literally like, you want to scoop that person up and be like, right, come here, let me cut you, you will be okay.
Yes, but yeah, so I basically sent her an essay and was like, I need to start now, like, it's non-negotiable.
Like,
like
today.
Yeah, like 2 hours ago would be perfect. And from then on, it's just been, I had consultation with her, products arrived, and in the old days, I'd have been like, oh, the products have arrived on a Tuesday. I can't possibly start the diet on a Wednesday.
Oh, I must wait until Monday to start my diet.
But I was like, no, it's arrived. I'm on it. Bam. And yeah, 24th of March, and I haven't looked back since. So,
Oh.
yeah.
And you've done all of the plan up until a couple of weeks ago on step 1B?
No, so I started, and I see Grace in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I started on red 1, I think.
Yeah, with your milk allowance as well.
My BMI was so high when I started, I knew I needed to do products only. That's my comfortable place. I knew that from plan before, but also I just needed a break from the toxicity of my relationship with food. So I
always say, right, it's like when you break up with a boyfriend, you have to block him on Facebook. You need to block that bugger on Instagram. You need to block his number. His friends, delete them. Get rid of all of them. And you need to just have a nice little safe space with your girls around you that is not toxic, horrible ex-boyfriends. And that is pretty much when you start on 1B. You need to get, I just feel like when I started, I was the same. I was like, you need to go, you need to get away. I'm going to have my Jen, I'm going to have my Georgie, I'm going to have all my girls around me, and it's going to be okay. Because it is a relationship, and I think you don't get to the place that you and I were with our body, with, you know, our weights and our, you know, our health, because we've just picked a little bit too much of an evening, or we've had the odd, you know, extra bag of Maltesers here or there. It's a deep-rooted problem, isn't it, with kind of abusing food whenever you're feeling any kind of way.
Yeah, so when I was talking to my parents the other day, like when I said about my mum saying about how traumatic it was watching me, she said, like, 'cause Terry's always said, I don't know where it comes from, because like both your parents aren't really overweight, and like none of.
I was going to ask, are they overweight, your parents, or are they just like normal?
But they did jump on plan like a month after me. But my dad put on quite a lot of weight when, I don't think in my saying this, when he retired. But he's lost like 4 stone or something now. He's doing fantastic.
Go on, Papa Linzi.
I know. And my mum lost about 1.5 stone, and because she put on some lockdown weight, but neither of them have ever been big, like me. You know, like I think there's overweight and then there's big. But
yeah,
I was just saying, I think I must just have something in my makeup that's like an addictive personality, and for some reason, whatever that may be, that part of my brain latched onto food. Now, in a different situation, it might have been drink, it might have been gambling, it might have been drugs or whatever, but for me, it just was food. And so I needed to make that break, like going to AA or whatever. I needed that break away from it, just to completely reevaluate everything I knew and like rejig my head and sort myself out. So yeah, I started on red 1 because that was the only possible kind of products only step that I could do. Had my milk allowance. So yeah, and then obviously I did my step up week to step 2. Once I'd gone down onto 1B, I went up on step 2, and I didn't come off of step 2. I stayed on step 2. And then 4 weeks ago, I made the...
Yeah, it wasn't that long for you, was it? And then you went up
to step...
But I love this. Like, I am such an advocate of this. Like, I think if you're someone who's struggled with your weight for a long time, then you need to do the steps for a longer period of time. I think if you're someone who's only had maybe a smaller amount of weight to lose, you haven't got as much of an emotional connection with food or as much of a toxic relationship, you could probably work through the steps quite quickly, like 2-3 weeks on each step to get you up through stabilization and maintenance. Obviously a big part of the steps is so that your body gets used to operating at that lower weight, and you cannot, you know, you can look at a piece of cake and not put half a stone on. Like, that's what we want to do. We don't want to be dieting for 20 years. But I think when you've got an issue with food, you need to be on the steps longer because you've got more to learn. Like, there's more habits you need to break. And for me, I stepped up in August, and I didn't really hit my maintenance calories until a month ago.
Okay.
That, you know, it was a long time, and I kind of did step 3 by the book, did step 4 by the book, and then me and Jen basically were like, okay, add like an extra 100 calories here, 50 calories here, those days drop it down a little bit. And that's why I love this plan and having a consultant, because I literally worked with her one-on-one to figure out where I needed to be with my calories, because the book is fantastic and the plan is fantastic, but you know, the amount of calories I need as someone who's 5'2" is very different to like someone like you who is much taller. So I think that's where it's needed. And I said to quite a few of my swimmers, like, I just don't know of any other plan out on the market that has such a regimented and curated maintenance program. I think a lot of plans, you've got the diet on a Monday,
Yeah.
you get to your goal weight, and on a Tuesday,
That's it.
it's like, what?
Yeah.
What do I do? And if you're someone who struggles with food, you're setting yourself up for failure, because you're not giving yourself any time to, in a really non-overwhelming manner, reconnect with food again.
Yeah.
It's just like, bam, you're back at it. And then it's no wonder that people struggle.
Yeah. But I think so that I wasn't going to step up until I lost 12 stone. But I knew that was potentially going to hit over Christmas. And Grace, I think a big part of this and the learning that you do is around your own head and what you're like and what triggers you and where you're going to slip up. And don't get me wrong, you might find things along the way you think, oh my God, I would never have expected that to trigger me, but it did. And I just knew that if I stepped up over Christmas, and what happens normally for me, and I don't know if it's for everyone, I normally plateau or have a small loss or whatever when my body's adjusting to the new step. And I didn't want...
Which is completely normal. Like, to anyone who is due to step up, like, it's so normal to have either a smaller loss, amazing, even a really small gain, because your body will hold on to more fluids than it's held on to previously, because you're having more fibre in your diet and you're having a bit more salt. So, yeah, but that can be very triggering.
I did not want to weigh in literally like 2 days before Christmas and see a gain or a maintain, because mentally I wouldn't have come off plan, but my God, it would have made it more difficult. And there's enough temptation around at this time of year anyway. You don't want to be making that any more difficult than it needs to be. So
exactly.
Myself and Grace just had a conversation. I was like, do you know what? I think we should just do it now. Just do it. Rip the band-aid off. Do it now, because then hopefully I'll be in the groove with it. I'll know what I'm doing. I'll be confident with it. And that's also what your consultant's there for. They're there to have the confidence in you when you don't have it yourself.
And sometimes to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
And be like, you are going to do this because I'm telling you that it is what you need to do. Yeah. You know, I've had slimmers who've wanted to get on plan this month and been like, so I'm going to do step 1B. And I'm like, you're not. You're going to do step 3, because if you think you're going to do 1B and be happy come the end of this month, you're completely wrong.
Yeah.
You're just going to go on this yo-yo of like boom and bust all month, and then you're going to screw your head up. So no, you're not going to do that. You're going to do step 3 for the month, and then in January we'll move you down to step 1B.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people they push against that, because you know we are like, no, I'm going to do the most restrictive thing. And I think me and Grace have got a really similar outlook on not having that kind of binge restrict cycle and breaking that, and that being a really big part of both of our journeys. So I think therefore as consultants we bring a lot of that to our swimmers as well. Yeah, so I love the fact that she with you was like, no, you're stepping out now.
Always. So when I sent that essay and we had my initial consultation, she was like, that's great, we're going to get you to go and we're going to change your life. However, you do what I tell you, because if you've come to me, you want to obviously...
I can't imagine her being firm like that. That's a Disney princess.
Oh, I heard it. She didn't know. Like, you step up when I tell you to step up. We're going to work through the steps really slowly. You're going to step up. And I had gone to her for a reason. So I was like, my life is in your hands. I will follow you. Let's do it. And that's how we've worked. So, yeah. I can see her laughing. That is.
And now you've been on plan for 38 weeks.
Yes, I'm in 39th week now. Yeah. Isn't
it mad? Like, do you know, this is my 50th week.
That is crazy.
not on plan because I'm maintaining now, but it's still like my 50th.
I know.
My 50th week. I've asked Jamie for a balloon on the 28th of December to celebrate what I class as literally my new birthday. Like, it's the day I gained my life back. And he said no.
What?
He said no balloon.
Oh,
No.
a balloon.
Heartbroken. But like, you know, that's crazy. Then I bet you feel like it's just gone like that.
Yeah.
Because people will be really worried that, you know, people who come onto this with bigger journeys, and they kind of look at that and in their head they're going, stone a month, I got 10 stone to lose. Oh my God, I'm going to be on this for 10 months. What's your advice to people who are in that position? Because it can be really daunting.
So I went into it. So firstly, I would say don't go into it with any illusions about how long it's going to take. Don't think, right, I'm going to restrict, and I'm going to have it off in 6 months, because likelihood is you probably won't, unless you're an amazing loser and it just falls off you.
Yeah.
But I went into it with the mindset of I'm writing off the next year to focus on me losing weight. So birthdays, parties, Christmas, whatever, I'm on plan and I'm doing it. Come hell or high water, I'm writing off this year. So that's how I went into it. And then I've lost my train of thought now.
I think I was really similar as well, though, because I went into the plan and it was like nothing is going to be more important than this.
Yeah.
I think that's really important, is that if you need to figure out like where is this on your priority list, if it's not the top of the priority list, that's fine. We can make adjustments when you have days off, weddings, birthdays, whatever. But you need to be honest with yourself. Is it something that you want to be able to do that with, or is this actually really important, but you're a bit scared to admit it? You're scared to say that I want to do this for me, and I'm going to have to maybe face some comments or things from people around me as a result of that. Because your consultant will help you. You just need to be honest with them.
I think what I was going to say as well is I knew that I would be writing off the year, but actually what you have to remind yourself is how many years you're giving yourself back.
So true.
That's what I keep thinking. Yes, I'm going to have been on plan for a year and I won't have been able to go and get drunk at a party. And I haven't been able to sit and eat a burger at a barbecue. But I'm going to have another, I don't know, 5, 10 years, whatever, added on to my life expectancy because I've given up this year. So in the grand scheme,
yeah,
what does that matter, really? And it's gone, like you said, like that. And I've not...
Well, I was going to say, like, I always think back to Poppy's birthday, just because, you know, most people are like, oh my gosh, my child's first birthday, I can't be on plan for their first birthday. I'm like, well, actually, when I think back to her first birthday, I do think about the cake, but I think about it because it was really, really sweet and sugary, and Jamie nearly had a heart attack. He was like, it was the most funniest thing. I actually was going to have a stroke. I was like, are you all right? He's like, I think I ate too much of the cake. But I don't look at it and think, oh, my day was ruined because I didn't have some birthday cake, or I didn't have some of the finger buffet I put together. Like that, when you go back, I always think as well, when you go back and look through the camera roll on your phone, how many pictures of the buffet did you take? How many pictures of the takeaway did you take? Or how many pictures of that like carvery did you take? Because you're saying in the moment that that's really important. You can't do anything, you know, You can't not have those things.
Yeah.
But those aren't the things that we want to capture and remember going forward. And actually, because you're like knee deep in that carvery and you're not happy with your weight, you're then not putting yourself in those pictures to have those memories going forward. And so I always think like you need to be honest with yourselves and kind of balance out what is your priorities, what is more important to you.
100%.
And I was very much like you. I was like, nothing is going to come and match how important this is to me.
100%. And I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and she's been off plan for various occasions, and she's got straight back on it the next day. But obviously coming into December, it's been more like off and then on. And she was saying to me to say like, oh, I just really struggling. I'm like hating all the products, and I would just want to go out and enjoy myself, and you know, and have fun. Like life's too short. And I'm like, do you not think that the constant on plan, off plan, on plan, off plan,
messes with your ads?
I said, and this is precisely why I'm not judging you in any way if that's what you want to do, but this is precisely why I don't do it, because I know how much it will mess with my head, and it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
And I have to do that struggle. I did that struggle at the beginning and it was tough enough. I don't want to.
Yeah, once you're on it, once it gets easy, I was always like, I just want to ride this little easy tide. Like this is, it just become normal now. Like
Yeah,
this is what I want to do. And I think this is where knowing who you are is really, really important, because some people do it and it is fine. So like Georgie and Nat are always my go-tos with this, because they will happily be able to come off plan and they make a really good plan to get back on it, and they always get back on it when they say they're going to. But I knew my character and I knew in myself, to be fair, probably towards the end of my journey on 1B, I would have been okay. But those first 4 or 5 months, I was like, if I come off, getting back on plan is going to be such a mind game that I just can't do it.
and I'm very much like what we were saying about the restrict, restrict, restrict bit. I'm very all or nothing. It's my character with everything. I'm
Yeah.
or I'm not. And I just knew that if I was giving it 100% and then I came off, that would just feed into that. Well, you're not on plan now, so you can eat all the food, and that binge.
It's that,
Like,
yeah, it's that narrative you have,
yeah,
isn't it?
and I like now being on a higher step, having food involved, I probably can flex that and bring it back in the next day because I've done all that work. But
That's it. You've put that groundwork in to change those
yeah,
behaviors. That's why the steps are so important, especially if you're like us, character-wise, because like I say all the time, you have to learn to live in a world of grey. Like you can't live in this black and white world anymore. You have to be happy and um like complacent, be not complacent, I don't know what I mean, but just happy in like this little land of grey where, things aren't always perfect, but you're always moving forward. So it doesn't matter if it's not shiny and perfect. It's just the fact that you're going in the right direction for it. So obviously now you're here, 12 stone down. You've lost Jamie.
12 stone and a pound. Let me add. Don't forget the pound.
12 stone and a pound. So Jamie currently weighs 12 stone 4 pounds. So
Oh,
you've literally lost Jamie.
£3 to go.
Isn't that mad? I'll get him to like get on it this week and try and lose a couple so that it makes it easier for you to meet in the middle. But that is just remarkable that you have done that. And you think like that, you gave yourself that year. You have completely transformed your mindset, your body, your health.
Yeah.
It's incredible, absolutely incredible, and such an inspiration to people that do have big and small journeys to go on, because you're just testament to that. Even if you do it once, life throws some, shit at you, you go through some hard times, you get to a place that is the worst place you think you could have ever been, you can come back from that stronger than you ever thought.
I always say to people, message me and say, oh, I've done it before and I've failed and everything. No. You've not failed until you've given up. Until you've given up, you've not failed. It's fine to take a step away and go, life is throwing me some curveballs right now and I've got to deal with that and I can't focus on this. It's fine to say that. It's fine to say my head's not in the game right now, because you're just going to keep trying and failing, and you're going to get upset yourself. But the fact that you're still trying to better yourself, that's testament in itself to your character. So you just have to keep trying, because one day it'll click. But yeah, so yeah, I can't believe I'm here. The comparison is like night and day from 12 months ago. It's just insane. It really is.
Isn't it mad? It's literally like a different person. I say all the time.
I've lost my mum.
Like, it's just crazy.
My mum once. Oh, never mind. It's just I've lost my mum. It's just
crazy. The numbers are insane. It does get to a point where the numbers are just mental, isn't it?
So when I do my weekly weigh-in update, I always start recording it and then I have to get rid of it because number one, I've forgotten what week it is because we're so far in now. The week's
always forget the week, and I have to go back on Instagram and double check.
And then secondly, I have to sit there and get a calculator and work out how many pounds it is, because again, the numbers are so insane that I just, yeah, people look, oh my God, 12 stone, it's incredible. But it's almost like, don't get me wrong, I know how life-changing it is, but the numbers kind of don't make sense. They're so big. Like, when do you bump into someone who's lost 10 stone, 9 stone, 12 stone on the street? You don't. It's not so. So to think you've done that, I just can't get my head around it, to be honest. But it is what it is, isn't it? It's happened.
Wow, it has happened, and you have done incredibly. I could literally talk to you all night, Linz. Like, I can't believe it's been an hour, because I could talk to you forever. But honestly, thank you so much for coming and being so candid and sharing your story. I know it's going to help a lot of other people out there who are in similar positions, you know, mothers, people that have gone through journeys before and had adversities and are coming back again. And share, the more we share our stories, the more people can relate and kind of see and find hope in them. So no, thank you so much. As always, if anyone has got any questions, because again, we got rambled away and I didn't really get to see in the comments, but do leave them in the comment section of this IGTV, which I will get saved, and me and Linz can go in and answer any questions that you do have. But thank you so, so much, my darling. I will speak to you very soon.
Yes.
And yeah,
Thank you.
have a nice evening.
Bye.
Bye.